Facing Waves is brought to you in part by Level 6, top quality paddle and surf gear born out of love for sport and adventure. Check us out at level6.com.
Welcome back to Facing Waves. In this episode, we're exploring northeastern Ontario and the paddling opportunities that lie within a stone's throw of the small coastal town of Killarney.
The village of Killarney was founded in 1820. It was originally a fur trading post. All the voyageurs camped there on their way west. It's probably one of the best natural harbors on the Great Lakes. And for that reason, it was picked as a very early settlement on the Great Lakes. And up until the early 60s, the only way to get to Killarney was by steamship or private yacht. And when the road opened in '62, it opened the town up to the world.
Well, I started paddling mostly down on the Grand River, where I was a kayak guide for a year. And yeah, I was just working and living in southern Ontario and found out about Killarney and it seemed like something I wanted to do. So I came up and started paddling Georgian Bay and keep coming back.
I've been working with the military for the past 4 years and I'm in the middle of doing a transfer between departments, and there's a 6-month gap between the end of one job and the start of the next. And I was looking for something to do, and I was planning on spending the majority of my time out here in Killarney anyway. And I talked to Ted, the owner, operator of Kearney Outfitters, and he hired me, and it's been great.
I've had the good fortune to sea kayak in some of the world's top sea kayaking destinations, and I gotta say that Phillip Edward Island is one of the coolest places to sea kayak. There's literally thousands of islands on the outer banks of Phillip Edward Island, which create a maze of routes you can choose.
You know, one person go one way and one person go the other way, and regardless of which route you take, you always end up at that same area. And no matter how many times I've paddled out here, it's still different each time. It's all crown land out here, so you don't need permits, just a parking permit for your vehicle. And you just come out and find the spot that you like best and that suits your group, whether you're 10 people or 2, you find what suits you and set up camp right there.
There are these endless smooth rock platforms all over the place, and islands, some with trees, some without, that provide perfect tent platforms. You also have little sandy beaches. We found a really cool beach. I've been to Phillip Edward Island a few times beforehand, and I'd never camped on a beach before. This time we camped on this gorgeous little beach at the water's edge. And you don't have to worry about the tide coming up. You don't have to worry about the water level changing on you. The only thing you had to worry about was the storm coming in and blowing water up. Phillip Edward Island is great for both canoeing and sea kayak tripping, but it's definitely a better sea kayaking trip. Only because your sea kayak gives you opportunities to deal with bad weather that rolls in. I mean, you can find yourself in some exposed areas, which can be a real challenge in a canoe. In a sea kayak, whether you're a beginner or an experienced paddler, it really is not a problem. I'm often asked, what's my favorite type of paddling? You know, I love whitewater paddling, canoeing, sea kayaking, kayak fishing, And there's no way that I can say that any type of paddling is my favorite, because while paddling in Phillip Edward Island, sea kayaking was absolutely my favorite type of paddling.
Let's take a quick look at some of the gear that you should consider if you're going to make a trip to the Killarney area. Now, starting from the top, we've got the kayak. This is a fiberglass Current Designs Infinity kayak. Now, at 17 feet 9 inches long and 22 inches wide, this kayak is designed for speed, and it is fast. It's got a padded, comfortable interior and lots of room in the cockpit so that you're comfortable for a full day of paddling. Being made of fiberglass, it's only 52 pounds, which means getting it to the water or even taking it along a portage trail is very manageable. Now, in my hands, I had Aquabound's Manta Ray carbon paddle. The Manta Ray carbon paddle is a full carbon paddle, carbon shaft, carbon reinforced nylon blades. So it's light, it's strong, and the nylon carbon blades are incredibly durable. So paddling in the shallow, rocky waters around Phillip Edward Island, I did not have to worry about one of my blades breaking. The conditions were nice. It was sunny for the most part, but it was quite cool, especially in the mornings and the evenings. And so I chose a dry suit. And the dry suit I use is level 6 Orion dry suit. And what makes this dry suit unique is that most dry suits have latex gaskets at the wrists and at the ankles and at the neck. This one has a neoprene gasket at the neck, latex at the wrists and ankles. The neoprene gasket at the neck is much more comfortable. It's not as dry as a latex gasket, but it's much more comfortable, and I really wasn't worried about full submersion. Last but not least, a good pair of water shoes is absolutely critical on any paddling trip. And on this trip, I was using Body Glove's new 3T Gladiator Pro barefoot shoe. Now, the 3T Pro, it has your big toe and the middle toe separated from the others. It provides incredible dexterity and mobility when walking on any type of terrain. It's got great drainage in the sole and on the sides of the sole, and it's got a mesh inside those holes to stop debris from entering your shoe. Of course, there's lots of gear to choose from when you go on any trip, but these are some of the pieces that I chose and that you should consider for your trip to Killarney. Facing Waves is brought to you in part by Current Designs, the world's leading builder of premium kayaks. Visit us online at cdkayak.com.